and welcome to Smash Writing. Following the success that Saw 1 had in theaters, there's without a shadow of a doubt that we were going to get a sequel, and a sequel came in the form of Saw 2. Let's get into it, shall we? You are not the easiest person to record with. Saw 2 opens up with a guy in a trap. He's like a Venus flytrap, and the key is in his eye. He's an informant, that's what he's known for. And he doesn't make it, and the trap closes. And we meet Detective Eric Matthews. He's picking up his son who was shoplifting Daniel. They get into a big argument, and he tells Daniel, I want to go home to mom early, and he goes, fine, then go. When Daniel storms off, we see Detective Eric Matthews trying to call his son on the phone. The phone goes off, and it turns out it's Detective Carey, and there's a crime that he needs to be there for. And it's the Venus flytrap guy. He doesn't really want to be a part of this, but Jigsaw is literally calling out Detective Matthews to look closer. And he fights him a bit because he does not want to do this. But that night he recalls a memory from the crime scene of the name on the metal and where the warehouse that it came from. So they raid the warehouse, and sure enough they find Jigsaw there. And they're going to take him out of there. Well, after a couple cops die in a booby trap stairwell. But they're going to take him out of there, because of course they would, whenever he goes, I don't think you're going to want to do that for what's happening in there. And he points out to a series of monitors that's viewing a game in present with a number of different players, including his son. And Jigsaw offers a game. If Detective Matthews will sit there and listen to him talk, his son will be found in a safe place. So that's his game. While we got these other players, there's like 6 or 7 of them, including a returning Amanda. She's been cutting herself. She stopped doing drugs, but she started cutting herself, which earned her another place in a trap. And they wake up in an apartment that's being filled with gas. The door will open in 3 hours, but the gas is going to kill them in 2. And then throughout the apartment complex is antidotes. All they have to do is try to find them. There's a safe in the room that they woke up with. They got to try to find the combination for that. Follow the rainbow. It's on the back of your heads. And they're not doing such a good job as a team. These are all convicts, all hardened people kind of deal. And the first trap is like this stove type deal for Obi. And there are 2 antidotes in there. His reward for helping him capture all the rest of the players. So that he's not liked there. But after he shows that he's a real crazy dude, he agrees to go into the oven. But when he takes the second one down, it shuts the door. And there's a valve and the fire turns on in the stove. And he can turn it off, but he'd have to crawl through the fire, which he doesn't do. And they break the glass to try to get him out, but it's too late for that. And he dies in the oven. The next game, I believe the next game, was the Pit of Needles. It was for a guy, Xavier. He's been the main antagonist of this group, I guess you can call him. But he does not want to go in that pit of needles to find the key to the door. So he chucks Amanda into the pit. It goes about as well as you think. Well, actually, she does find the key, but Xavier drops it when he's trying to unlock the door, and that runs the timer out, and the door stays locked forever. And that's about the time where Xavier loses it. Because one of the women, 2 of them are coughing up blood, and the one is on her way out the door from the gas. But Xavier goes back downstairs, and he notices on the one guy's neck is a number, and it's color-coded. The numbers of the safe are all on everyone's neck. So he starts hunting down the people, because he's going to be the one to get that antidote. And he takes out the one guy, and the one girl succumbs to a jigsaw box, a jigsaw trap, because she didn't even bother to listen to the tape. And Xavier could have helped her, but he doesn't, because he wants that antidote for himself. So, it ends up with Amanda and Daniel being chased. And Daniel, they find out that is the son of Doctor Detective Matthews, who is the responsible for not only putting them all away, but he framed them to do it. Because they were guilty for stuff, and he knew they were guilty for stuff, but he couldn't prove it, so he framed them. So the only one now helping him is Amanda, because she's the only one left, because Xavier's just taking on everyone. But he has a renewed sense of rage when he finds out who Daniel's dad is. But they manage to slip out through a trapdoor and get chased all the way back to the room from the first movie. And while that's all going on, eventually Detective Matthews grows tired of dealing with Jigsaw. He wants to know where his son is, so they kind of trap Carrie in the cage with the monitors, so she can't stop him from beating it out of Jigsaw. Who he agrees, I'll take you to him then. Fine, we don't have to play. And when he gets to so they're both now, you got Xavier coming in on the room, you got Detective Matthews coming down the stairs kind of deal. And we see Daniel take out Xavier, he'd faked dying to the gas. And then we jump to Eric Matthews coming into the room. It's dark, and there's no Daniel or Amanda. Meanwhile, the SWAT team had finally traced the location of the video to a different warehouse, and we see that they have been watching the game on tape. It had already happened. The timer goes out, the safe in the room opens, and Daniel's in the safe. He was in the room the entire time. And Detective Matthews is knocked out by a person in a pig mask with a syringe. When he comes to, he's now shackled to a pipe. And the pig mask comes off, and it's Amanda. Amanda joined Jigsaw after the game. And game over, door closed, Matthews is sealed away now for not finishing his game. The pros and cons of Saw 2. This definitely upped the game from the first one. The camera work was a lot better. The traps are more brutal, especially that needle pit. I haven't watched this movie in so long, but that needle pit still remained burned into my head. The story was compelling, because you have all these... We've got a big multi-group test now going on, instead of just the single-player game, because even in the first one it was more Gordon's game than it was Adam's. But, it added up. It really felt like the stakes were raised in this one, especially with Daniel being thrown in there, because yeah, he's a bit of a troublemaker and everything, but compared to the people in this room, you felt like he's in trouble being surrounded by all these people. So they built up the twist. Was nice. I really felt it caught me off guard way back when I watched this movie. I still think it is a enjoyable surprise that they've been watching it on tape. And acting wise, Tobin Bell really got the fly here as Jigsaw. Flesh out his character more, flesh out. He really does not believe that he is a murderer. He believes that they are the ones doing it to themselves. They can get out of here if they try hard enough. And it's just their lack of will to live is what costs them, not him. And, of course, that's a bit flawed. We'll talk about that more in the third one. But, the delivery Tobin Bell gives here is amazing. And really dark, brutal. He looks like a serial killer, but like a put together one. He's an intelligent guy, and you can tell that through his traps, but as well he holds himself and carries himself. Shawnee Smith rolls in this movie. I love Shawnee Smith as an actress. I love a lot of what she's in, but she really nailed it as the Amanda character. Bringing up the fear and, terror that she's, especially after being chucked into the needle pit, really bringing you in and then turning it around. Shawnee nailed her role as Amanda here. I feel like this is just a lot more fun. I like the fact that this was actually way more a long game for Eric than it was, and a bunch of smaller games for everyone else. Because in the end, all Eric had to do was sit there and listen to his story, like you said, and everything would have been fine. So I felt like that was a nice little detail where the name of the game was to do nothing. That was an interesting little twist. That was my final words on Saw 2. It was a fun ride up the ante from Saw 1. More brutal. The traps weren't as they were chaotic, but they were not as chaotic as we're going to get to and eventually. All things a good sequel makes. Final grade, A+. Thank you for watching as always, and bye-bye.